This video will be about what guns should be used with high explosive shells. First up are 20mm anti-aircraft guns. They have a high rate of fire, low penetration with armor-piercing rounds, and tear planes to shreds. Using high explosive shells can somewhat blind tanks, but otherwise they are not good against tanks. It is possible to penetrate tanks with armor-piercing or armor-piercing composite rigid rounds from 20mm cannons, but don't expect to penetrate any tank you see. Expect to penetrate a Panzer III or IV, but not a Sherman or a T-34. Next up are 45mm tank cannons. Don't be fooled by the size of the explosion from the high explosive shells. They don't have half the power they seem to. Not much else to discuss about this gun. Its high explosive isn't good against anything with armor, so follow the standard rules of high explosive usage. Now for 75mm medium length cannons. They are the middle ground of high explosive. It can harm some tanks if aimed right. For the most part, it is useful against normal high explosive targets, but it isn't recommended for anti-tank purposes. The short 75mm or 76mm cannons follow the same rules as the 75mm medium cannons, but of course they have a lower velocity and are much more likely to hit thinner roof armor from a distance. Then you have the 122mm howitzers and cannons, but the 128 cannon works similarly, so I will be covering them all with this section. This is the caliber where the rules of high explosive are different. If you aim right, your high explosive will do amazingly well wrecking the heaviest armor. The 152mm shells are a class all their own. They follow almost no rules. The only rule that applies to them is the rule of sheer strength of armor. If the armor is thick enough, it will resist a shell. Aim for the turret and you are almost guaranteed a kill.